Good morning, friends. I miss seeing your faces today. Since I can't be with you in our live meeting today, I would like to go over some of our skills for our reading and then read our story together today and talk about some points in it. The first thing I'd like to look at is our text and graphic features. Let's just remember what a text feature and a graph feature are. A text feature are parts of text such as headings or boldface print that help us as the readers recognize important information. Our graphic features are illustrations, photographs, graphs, and other pictorial devices that support or add details to our text. So let's look at our screen here. The author of Animals Building Homes uses text and graphic features to make her ideas clear. For examples, the headings help you know what you will read about in each section. They help you find information quickly. We will also be looking for that bold-faced words. These are words in darker print, and they are often our important vocabulary words. So we're going to look closely today and see how the headings and bold print, as well as our graphic feature photographs, help us get information in addition to the words in the text. Today, we're also going to dig a little bit deeper and use context. Well, let's take a closer look at what that even means. Authors sometimes use special words about a topic that may be new to you. Friends, we often see this in our nonfiction writing the most because they will include words that are specific to that science or social studies topic. You can use other words in the sentence to help figure out what a new word means. Does that sound familiar? Mrs. Swartz says that a lot, don't I? Use the context, the words around it to help you figure out the meaning. Now we're going to add a little bit to that today because looking at the photos may also help you. Using a sentence or a photo to understand a new word is called using context. Today, we will be reading Animals Building Homes. Now, the genre, the type of writing this is informational text. That's important for us to know to get our mind ready for reading. This will give us facts about a topic. As we read, we can look for photos and headings, facts and details about a topic. Now, in our books, it tells us that we're reading an informational text, or sometimes a fictional text, or humorous fiction, or realistic fiction. But a big clue for us here, it tells us that we should look for photos and headings. These are text and graphic features that we will find in nonfiction or informational text that we will not necessarily find in fictional stories. So it makes it easy, yes, for us to look for our genre, our type of writing, when we can identify these photos and headings. So friends, if you need to push pause right now, you can go right ahead, but I would like you to open up your reading books to our story, Animals Building Homes, on page 191. When you're ready, push play again and we'll begin reading. Welcome back, my friends. Today we're going to be reading Animals Building Homes by Wendy Perkins. Our essential question for this week is, what are animal homes like? So by the end of our story today, you will be able to say what animal homes are like. So let's begin reading. Ooh, here we see a beaver. Let's take a look at both pages like you are in your book. So, from the title of our book, I know the topic of this section is going to be animals build homes. I personally know a little about some animal homes, but there are so many different types of animal homes that I do not know anything about. I'm going to read this selection to find out more about different kinds of animal homes. Let's begin at the top and read through our page together. A beaver's home. A beaver is hard at work. It gnaws on a tree trunk. Soon the tree falls. The beaver floats the log to a pond. There the beaver builds a lodge. The beaver piles up logs. It fills the cracks between the logs with mud and grass. The lodge keeps the beaver safe and warm. So friends, let's take a look up here. Let's take note of our heading up top. Ooh. This heading helps us know what this section is going to be about, a beaver's home. Well, that tells me that this section is going to be about a beaver's home. And is that exactly what we read about? Well, yes, it talked about how a beaver makes its home. So let's look at our page. What steps does the beaver follow to build a lodge? Well, let's go back in our story and take a look. This is an important step that we need to get used to doing, going back and looking. A beaver is hard at work. It gnaws on a tree trunk. Soon the tree falls. Well, I can say that first, I know it needs to cut down a tree with its teeth. I know that because it says it gnaws on a tree trunk. Then the story tells me the beaver floats the log to a pond. So, the next step in building a beaver home is that the beaver needs to get that log that it just chewed down into the pond. Back in our text it says, there the beaver builds a lodge. What is a lodge? Can I use context to help me figure out what it is? Do you know? Well, if you said it's a beaver home, you're correct. We know that we're talking about a beaver's home. And when it refers to there, the beaver builds a lodge, I can make the connection that a beaver's home must be a lodge if that's what it's building, and it's in the section titled A Beaver's Home. See how our heading helped us with our context for what a lodge is? We also had to make some further connections there. The beaver piles up logs. It fills the cracks between the logs with a mud and grass. The lodge keeps the beaver safe and warm. So we said that first, the beaver needs to cut down the tree with its teeth, so it gnaws it down. Once it's fallen down, it floats it to the pond. Then they have to pile up logs and fill the cracks between the logs with mud and grass. These were the steps that the beaver follows to build a lodge. Now, friends, what would happen if one of these steps were skipped? The lodge wouldn't be built properly, would it? Good job. Read back in here for me for a moment. Why are ponds important to beavers? Can you find the sentence that helps me know? If I come back in my reading, I see that the beaver floats the log to a pond. So beavers build their homes in water. If beavers did not have ponds, they could not build their homes. Let's read on to our next page and see what else we can learn. Safe at home. Most animals need a home. Homes keep animals safe from predators, rain, snow, or the hot sun. Some animals live in their homes for life. Other animals live in their homes long enough to raise their offspring or survive hot or cold weather. Let's take a look here, friends. Why do animals need homes? Well, if I look back at my first page, we learn that the lodge keeps the beaver safe and warm. So homes are important because they keep animals like a beaver safe and warm. Here, our heading says safe at home. So I can tell that this page is going to give me information about why animals are safe in their homes. So, can you find a reason why? Here it goes on to explain how homes keep animals safe from predators, rain, snow, or the hot sun. So I know that homes are very important to keep these animals safe. It also helps them to stay safe from hot or cold weather. Now, let's stop for a minute. Now that I've finished our reading here, I should ask myself some questions about what I've read just to make sure I'm understanding, since this is nonfiction and there's a lot of information. I'm going to use my reading to help me. My heading here says safe at home. So I can ask myself, how do animals stay safe in their homes? I can now answer from my memory that animal homes keep them safe from predators, weather, and the sun. I know that because I was thinking about my reading as I read. Building nests. Many animals live in nests. A hummingbird builds a small cup-shaped nest. The nest is made of moss and bits of spider webs. Why do hummingbirds build small nests? Well, I can look at my picture here, my photo, and I know that hummingbirds are small birds. It also tells me in the text that they build small cup-shaped nests. So I know that hummingbirds are tiny birds, so small nests probably fit them best with their babies. The photograph here helped me see that hummingbirds were tiny. But let's take a look. We're going to look at our highlighted word here. Shaped. A hummingbird builds a small cup-shaped nest. How does the photograph on this page help me understand what cup-shaped nest means? Take a moment to think about that. Well, the photograph shows more about what the nest looks like in that it is shaped like a cup. Let's continue reading. A mouse makes a grass nest in the shape of a ball. The mouse hides its nest in tall grass or in a tunnel underground. Let's use this photograph. How does this photograph on page 197 help you understand what a mouse's nest might look like? Well, just like our last photograph of the birds and their nest, we can see that our mouse nest looks like a ball. So we know that a mouse's nest is shaped like a ball. I can see how they use the grasses, which is what I read about in my text, to make their nest. Why do you, friends, think a mouse hides its nest in tall grass or underground? Well, it's camouflaged into the tall grasses because that's what it's built out of. And it does not want predators to find its nest. So that's why they hide it and camouflage it in with the area. Careful builders. What do you predict this section will be about? Let's read to find out if we were correct. Some animals put a lot of work into building their homes. Weaver birds make nests that hang from the tree branches. The birds carefully weave grass and leaves together. Weaver birds use their feet and beaks to tie knots in the grass. Let's think about what we just read. What is the main idea on page 199? What is the big topic? Let's look back. Some animals put a lot of work into building their homes. Well, this first sentence here is going to be my helping sentence. This is a topic sentence for this section of Careful Builders. And it tells me that the main idea on this page, what the rest of this page is all about, is that some animals work really hard at building their homes. Now I need you to be detectives. In a minute, I'm going to have you push pause and find a detail on this page and put your finger on it that supports that main idea. So can you find a detail in this story that helps me know that some animals work hard building their homes? Push pause, and when you're ready, push play to come back to me. Welcome back, friends. I found that weaver birds carefully weave grass and leaves to make their nests. Another detail I found is that weaver birds use their feet and beaks to tie knots in the grass. Both of those details help me know that a weaver bird is working really hard to build their home. How does the photograph we see here, this graphic feature, help support our text? How does our text help support the photograph? Well, let's think about that. That's a tricky question. We see that in the text, we read that it describes how the weaver bird works to make its nest. In the photograph, we see the weaver bird building its nest. So this shows the information the text was giving us. The text explains what the picture shows. Working together. Animals can work together to build homes. Termites build mounds made of mud mixed with saliva. Other animals cannot easily break through the hard mud. Wow. Look at this photograph. That's pretty awesome, friends. So here are the termite mounds. These are made out of mud and saliva. Saliva is the spit in our mouths. So the termites use their spit and the mud to create this mound, which is their home. Now we learned that animals build their homes and use their homes to help them with a few different things. When we began reading, one of them was to keep them safe from predators. We can learn here on this page and make the connection that they build these mounds because other animals cannot easily break through the hard mud. So that's a perfect example of how they use their shelter for safety. Wow, let's look at page 201. Polyps are animals that make coral reefs. A polyp builds a limestone cup around its body for protection. The cups of the polyps grow together to make a coral reef. Ooh, I just learned something new. I did not know what a polyp was, did you? Well, on this page I learned that a polyp, when they grow together, makes the coral reef. Wow, these are fascinating looking. Let's look back at our heading here. As I read the heading on page 200, I wonder how animals can work together. Do you know? As we read, I found out that termites can build mounds together. They work together to mix mud and saliva to make their mud mounds. Polyps work together because they have limestone cups around their body for protection that help them grow together to create the coral reef. Making a burrow. Well, friends, in my head, I'm saying to myself, what on earth is a burrow? I better read to find out. Maybe there will be some context clues to help me understand. Burrows are holes in the ground where some animals live. Gophers use their teeth and paws to dig long, winding tunnels. They make rooms in the deepest parts of the tunnels. The gophers hide their offspring and food in these rooms. Ooh, I see a great text feature here. I see the word burrows in bold. This bold print helps me know that I'm going to learn a little bit more about this new important word. And what do I learn? Well, I learned on this page that burrows are holes in the ground where some animals live. Gophers use their teeth and paws to dig long, winding tunnels. So burrows are holes in the ground where some animal lives. And now I know that there are tunnels in there, and they are deep and long. I also know that there are rooms in the deepest parts of these tunnels. Animals like gophers live in burrows. Let's analyze our text. Let's take a closer look at text and graphic features. We're going to use the headings to help us quickly find information about how a gopher makes a burrow. What is the heading for this page right here? Making a burrow. So if all I wanted to know was about a gopher's home, I wouldn't need to read our whole story on animals building homes. I could just look specifically at page 202 to learn more about burrows. Home improvement. Some animals live in homes made by other animals. Chickadees use tree holes made by woodpeckers. Chickadees bring grass and moss into the hole. They build a nest for their chicks. Why does the author use the heading Home Improvement on page 203? Well, the author uses this heading because the chickadee makes its nest by fixing up a hole left by a woodpecker. So it is improving a home that was already made by someone else. And now he's going to use it for himself. Building a home. Most animals need homes where they can rest and raise their offspring. Homes also keep animals safe from predators. Beavers build lodges. Mice make nests. Gophers dig burrows. How does a polar bear make its den? Now, the author ends our selection here by asking how a polar bear makes its den. First of all, this was a brilliant closing. We worked on writing closing sentences, but because this was a whole story, they wrote a closing section, building a home. And it gave us information that kind of wrapped up our reading. It brought together the reasons animals build their homes and also listed some of the animals we read about and the names of their homes. But then they ended with a question at the very end. How clever. That really makes us, as the reader, stop and answer it in our head and think more using our graphic feature here. So let's answer this question. How does a polar bear make its den? I can see in my photograph that it looks like the bear is digging the snow. Now, I don't see a shovel, so what do you think the polar bear is using? If you said its paws, then you were correct. Great work, my friends. So, today we read Animals Building Homes. I would like you to stop and think for a minute and tell me a bit more about one of these animals we read about. The beavers building lodges, the mice making nests, or the gophers digging burrows. Can you use your heading in your book to turn back to that particular section and think of some facts you learned on that section? When you're done thinking, you can even discuss it with an adult at home. So I just would like to remind you before we end our section together today that we worked on looking at headings, we looked at photographs, and we looked at bold-faced print today, those darker words. These text and graphic features helped us understand our reading better. It helped us organize information in our head and be able to talk about the main idea on each page. And it really helped us understand the topic of animal homes better. You did a phenomenal job of reading our story together and listening today. Thank you so much for your hard work. Make sure you're completing your must-do and may-do lists together. I'm also posting a video on collective nouns and a little bit more on text and graphic features for you. Please take a few moments today to dive a little deeper into both of these. Good luck, and I will see you tomorrow morning, my friends.